Empire.
Welcome back to All's Caps. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. We are joined by special guest from the Seattle Kraken, Ben Guerrero, former Capitals PR guy. Tell us some stories, talk some Seattle hockey. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna let Karl run the show on this one, I think.
No, we'll go back and forth here because it's interesting, because you've dealt with Wino and guys like Wino, and I'm sure you got to keep them under control sometimes. They're always wanting to get the extra scoop here, but I mean the first thing is like everybody's I think so interested in Seattle and what Seattle's like. Like we've seen all the media coverage and just how much the city's been behind the team, the celebrity reaction, all the businesses that have been showing support. Like what's it been like for you? I mean, I would imagine that there's so many players that are getting, I see Gruby's face on everything now. So I imagine there's people getting pulled in all sorts of directions right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's a new experience for me. I think I've been through my fair share of like training camps and off seasons, but this one was completely new. Our building wasn't ready when we got started, so you throw that into the mix of trying to open a building. You're trying to create a fan base, and we didn't have a team either. So you go from 0 players to 30 in one day, and then we had the normal draft a couple days later. So it's been a whirlwind, but the city is really taken this team to heart, and it's really cool to see the logo out there, and everyone's wearing the jerseys and the hats and everything like that. And I think the big thing, like you were mentioning, having some local celebrities, other athletes, and from other teams are asking for jerseys and asking to come out to games. It's been really cool to see the energy here.
Yeah. So what do you do? Like I know here that the guys aren't allowed really to do any sort of appearances and get out, and it's unfortunate. The first year I would imagine you guys could just be killing it with the things that guys could do and wanting to get out to support some of these local businesses and just show the jersey off a little bit more. So like what do you do? Are you doing some virtual stuff, or is this all, like I said with Gruby, I've seen his face on a bunch of things, but like how does that work for you? That must be tough.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is, there's such an excitement here, not just from the city, but also from the players getting to a new city that they want to experience it, they want to go explore. But with all the protocol in place, we're trying to keep things safe. And so that means you got to get a little creative. We're doing more Zoom stuff than we probably would like to, but, just trying to keep, fans and players safe. But there's a lot of guys that I think are itching for the off season to get out and explore the city a little bit more. When the draft happened, we didn't have a whole lot of time for guys to come out and find apartments or housing. So they kind of just were thrown together, and I think there's a lot of guys that are looking forward to being able to explore more.
Yeah, I remember talking to Philip Grubauer about this in September. He was still looking for a house, like a week before training camp started. How has it been like your reunion with Philip Grubauer?
Oh, it's been great. We have a few familiar faces. Gruby was just starting out when I was in Washington, so we had actually quite the stable of goalies back then. We had Holtz in there, and Nuvi, Michael Neuwirth, and then Gruby was coming up. I think Tomasz Vokun was in there for a little bit. There were a lot of guys there. But Gruby, it was great to see a familiar face, just kind of exploring a little bit together and just, talking through stuff. We had Marcus Johansson join up too, another former Cap. So it's been good to see, and then Tim Ohashi on the video side and Mike Bowie on the medical side too. So there's a good Caps contingent here.
It's Capitals West. Just like Vegas was Capitals West first with George McPhee and Katie Hedman going out there, and now all of a sudden Capitals West is Seattle with Ben and company.
Yeah, no kidding. So then with all the Caps alumni there, then you'd assume that some of the fans are going to head out that way and watch some games and see what the building's like. Give us a couple of the hot spots to either go out. Coffee obviously is huge out that way. So what are your favorite hangout spots right now? We got to hear some names here because I want to come out that way too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I was still actually finishing up with the Sharks when I moved here, so I didn't really get an off season to explore much. I think I'd probably get in trouble if I didn't throw Starbucks out there.
No one's ever heard of Starbucks. You have to give them some publicity.
Yeah,
some local spot.
Exactly. You got to do. Yeah. You got to shop local. So no, they've been great. They're one of our partners here, so it's cool to kind of see. They have there's an area kind of the downtown spot. It's like one of their they call it like the roastery, but it's kind of like an upscale Starbucks. They serve drinks and they have like food and stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool spot. But then, I mean, there's so many food places here that I'm still trying to explore. We'll have to get you guys out here and hit a few spots. But the rink's in a really great spot. You can walk to the game if you're somewhere downtown. You can take the public transit. I think every ticket that to the game, it comes with some preloaded money to take the monorail. So it's kind of a cool feature where you don't have to drive to get to the game.
I can tell you I have brewery recommendations. So if you go out there, Karl, I visited Seattle in the summer of 2019. A good friend of mine, Allison Bickford, works for the Kraken as well. So I went out there and kind of saw the city. So I have brewery recommendations. Perfect. And if you're a sushi guy, I got a sushi place for you.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's actually funny talking about Starbucks. This is. I don't know if you've been there, Benny, before, but in Chicago, I think they have the world's biggest Starbucks. It's like 5 floors tall. It's got like full-on bakeries, restaurants in there. Highly, highly recommend. It's a destination. A cup of coffee in this place. You spend your whole day in there. So that comes highly recommended by me when you're in Chicago this year.
I got to add that to the list. We went to Italy last time, but this sounds like right up my alley. An all-day coffee trip.
Yeah, exactly. Just super caffeinated. Don't sleep all night and then get to the rink, which actually reminds me, okay, I got to ask you this. So because, we know that the media crew and the training staff, likes to sometimes get after it on the road and enjoy some places. What's the least amount of sleep you've ever had coming into work and then having to do what you do? I gotta know.
That's a really good question. I think probably one of the rookie dinner or something like that. Maybe one of those nights. They start to bleed together. I don't think adding Vegas to the mix has helped in the sleep department at all. Obviously it's a business trip though, so,
yes.
No, but it's one of those things where, you have to blow off steam every now and then. And, we've had a couple trips where we had off days in Nashville, and that always seems to end up, like it's a pretty long night. So, I think there was one spot where we ended up and, we had a bunch of guys, on instruments. I think I was doing vocals for some pretty awful cover bands. It was a fun time, but the next morning came quick. That bus ride in the morning is a rude awakening.
We had a night many years ago. I ran into you. I believe it was Hat Tricks in Tampa, and this must have been 9 years ago at this point. Maybe your first year with the Capitals, my second year. That's a lovely place too.
Yeah, I've heard of that place. I believe they have a nice Shirley Temple they serve there.
That place is great, and the hub. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if that's too divey for you. The hub in Tampa, but John Cooper's taken the Stanley Cup there twice.
Oh, really?
So that's probably our favorite place in Tampa is the hub.
Really? Yeah, it's always nice to have a good dive bar somewhere you can just kind of melt away in, and no one expects anything of you except to maybe put back a few pints. So it's always nice to find. Char Bar was our spot, and right next to the hotel.
Char Bar's great
in Columbus. Yeah, giving everybody some good recommendations for bars here on this episode. It's smart.
Yeah, we'll do beer segments at some point. Like we're gonna have to be doing the fact that you and I like breweries and beer. We'll do segments like that at some point.
Exactly. So Benny just got married. How does that change? How how your days are now? I guess maybe your planning comes in a little bit better. I remember talking to Pace Sagaster when he was here and having to do the media guides and stuff like that, and leaving him to the last minute. Like it's gotta change. Just as it does for a player. How does that change it for you?
Yeah, for me, she actually works in hockey too, so there's a really good. It's not the standard 9 to 5. You're working holidays and long hours, and it really helps to have someone that understands that grind, because otherwise, I don't know how that would work. But I definitely think that I have. We'll just say I've grown from maybe the old days, maybe those Hat Tricks days that we talked about. But no, it's been great. She's actually San Jose still, so we're doing long distance right now, but in planning. And like you said, it definitely is a change, but it's a welcome one. And I'm excited to have someone that enjoys the grind and understands the grind like I do.
We'll be back with we're gonna tell some Capital stories. I hope Ben and Carl have stories about each other coming up next segment here on All's Caps. Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino, joined by Ben Guerrero, PR specialist for the Seattle Kraken, former Capitals, former Sharks PR guy. I promise stories. I don't know how many stories you guys can tell about each other that are safe for air at this point.
Yeah, I think as you can see that we like to enjoy our time on the road and unwind when possible. And a lot of the stuff is just things that happen when you're rookie parties and have after dinner and stuff like that, you meet up, because at the rink it's like it's business, right? Everyone's going about their business, don't want to look out of place, and then you can finally let loose after. But I think that one of the things, Benny, that's so interesting to me is that you've been able to be around a lot of major stars in this league and very, very interesting personalities. Obviously, you had with Ovi here, and then being in San Jose, being around Joe Thornton, who is kind of a legend amongst players in this league, and some of the things that he's done, from walking through shots naked, or interviews half naked, and some of the things that he said over the years. I mean, what was that like, having a guy like that there, that seemed like he was able to kind of just like cut through the tension with the guys and able to, I don't know, I guess make everybody relax a little bit. And you, as being part of the PR team, you see all those things, and you get to see it from behind the scenes and how it works and the reaction of the players. What was it like being around somebody like him?
Yeah, Jumbo's great. He's someone, like you said, he likes to keep things light, and it's such a long year that you gotta be able to have those moments where you aren't taking things too seriously, because it can really build up, and he does a really good job of knowing the right times to kind of chime in. And I think everyone knows when he's in a room, he's probably the loudest guy in any room. But the thing with him is, like, he brings everyone together too. It's the players, but it's also the support staff too. Like, he's joking around with everyone. He doesn't care what job you have or anything like that. He's going to bring you and make you feel involved. And he's got a lot of stories that probably can't share, but I mean, you've seen a lot, like what you see on the videos of walking through shots, snake, all that stuff is that's definitely him. It's not an act. And I think if he was doing a shirt or an interview with his shirt on, then there might be some issues. You might ask if he's doing okay that day, because he's not a shirt on type of guy.
This reminds me of Alex. Always do the red towel interviews after the game. Like, Alex would just be wearing a red towel, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's kind of like it's almost like an unwritten rule where some guys can get away with doing an interview with no shirt on, and other guys they get serious crap for it. So it's got to be the right person to do it, or they need to have been told by one of the older guys to, hey, you're doing this one with no shirt on, just so we can get a laugh. But that brings me to my next question, that I find this to be interesting from a player's standpoint, is that obviously the media has a job to do, you have a job to do, we have a job to do as players. What has there ever been a moment or something that's happened where you've had to run out and be like, hey, he didn't mean to say that, or do you mind holding off on writing something like that, because it can sometimes come across the wrong way. I know we had an incident one time in New York with a player of ours who the dressing room where we get changed and then the one where we keep our suits is pretty close, and one player yelled something a little bit too loud before the door was completely closed, and we had to do a little damage control after that. And I'm curious how many times that's come up, because everybody's heard of what's gone on, for example, with Evander Kane the last year and a half or so, and always
the Joe Thornton thing after the Thomas Hertl goal too, with the comment that was published that probably should not have been published.
Well, I don't even know that comment. You're gonna have to refresh my memory there. But I just does that happen? Does that happen often, where you got to do a little bit of damage control? And if so, has it ever been like where you've been like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna get around this?
Yeah, I mean, there's been moments. I think our sport's pretty good about, the guys for the most part get it pretty well. but there's always those times that happen, and you're like, that's where the relationships come in. Not just with the players, but with the media too. It's like being able to have a off record chat, be like, hey, the guy maybe didn't mean this that way, or the timing was bad or something like that, and can we maybe work together to try to at least get this right. And that's where just trying to build those relationships up. There's always something that seems to happen in the background. I think Stephen, you were kind of referred to the Joe comment in Vancouver. That was something that there's 30 people in the room, and no one else. Everyone heard it and laughed, but then no one else went with it, and just takes one person to just go with it. And but that's the thing. That's another example, though. It was a comment that when you hear it, you're like, goodness gracious, I hope no one goes with this. But then the guys had fun with it after that, and kind of made it kind of like more of an internal joke. And I think that's the way to handle it a lot of times. And I think it's just about those relationships. If you have good relationships with both the players and the media side, you can hopefully come to agreements and work things out here and there. And it's kind of a give and take on both sides.
Yeah, I wouldn't have written that myself. I'm actually glad it came out because of all the memes that have come up with all the rooster whatever things. Every time Joe Thornton gets to 3 goals, everybody loses their mind. So I'm actually okay with it.
Yeah, I remember he was playing Boston. He had 2 goals, like I think it was halfway through the game, and that was everyone's like, okay, here we go. He ended up getting a hat trick, but was 1 away. So we'll have to wait and see if he can get that.
That's amazing. Do we want to hit him with our tough questions? Or what are we
let's take a break, and then we're going to come back and do Karl's stupid questions.
All right,
we'll be right back on All's Caps. Welcome back to All's Caps. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner, joined by Ben Guerrero from the Seattle Kraken, former Capitals PR guy. And now, I think we have a name for this. I think it's Karl's Stupid Questions that you keep asking of our guests here.
Yeah, well, I don't really know exactly what to call them. I feel like they're stupid questions, but they're kind of fun. And if anybody has any ideas and you're listening to this right now, I'd love to hear them. But as of right now, we're going with Karl's questions or Karl's stupid questions, you name it. But Benny G, you're the next victim. They are sometimes hockey related, sometimes not, and today will probably not be super hockey related. So give it your best shot. I'll give you your score after and let you know how you did. Okay, so first one, I may already know this answer because of what you've told us already, but give me your favorite road city and maybe give me why.
Oof, I gotta go probably Nashville. And I think it's probably, I'm not a huge country guy, but it comes out when I get there. I think it's hard not to with all the honky tonks. And I think I bought my fair share of boots and hats that I'll never wear in any other city.
Nashville brings the country out of everybody. Even if you don't think it's there, it brings something out of you. It's just a good time. It's a place you smile when you're out there.
There's an outdoor game in Nashville in February.
Ooh.
You better believe that's going to be a party.
That could be a road trip. All right, next one, Benny.
You might have to make that one.
When you get on the plane, what drink is waiting for you on the plane, or what drink is the first drink you ask for?
Is this pregame or is this postgame?
Let's go with postgame after a nice win. No crazy talk on camera for Jumbo, and you're just relaxing. You're going to another road city.
We'll go. Let's go with a bourbon on the rocks.
Oh, bourbon on the rocks,
dude. Nice.
That's
just
nice
on wine. Just one, of course. Just one.
Do you have a favorite bourbon right now?
I think Bullet is kind of my standard right now, but it's nothing too crazy. But if I'm feeling crazy, maybe a Scotch.
Maybe a Scotch. Good for you. All right. So we know that you're married. But you're free to tell us whatever you want on this one. Who would you say is your celebrity crush?
Oh, geez. That is a great question. I don't know. I had this thing where I made a comment about thinking Ariana Grande was good looking a while back, and the wife doesn't seem to like her music anymore. So I don't know. Maybe we'll go with her.
That's amazing. Oh man. Okay. This one. I'm always curious what people say about this because so there's always a standard question of if you won the lottery, what would you buy? Had $1 million, what would you buy? But everybody's always so politically correct typically, and they say, oh, I would support my family or donate a bunch, which obviously is what you would do. However, if you had $1 million and you were being completely selfish, this is just for Benny G. What are you spending that $1 million on?
So I got to borrow. I saw that someone wrote this somewhere, and I loved it. I would sit at a restaurant, and I would send a glass of milk to a random table, and I would just keep doing that every 5 minutes. So I just keep paying the server $100 to keep doing it, and I would want to see the reaction of the table. I want to see them getting upset and start freaking out. And I'd say, if you keep bringing this milk over, I'll up it to 200 a glass, and just keep doing that and see how long it takes those people to freak out.
So you're going for entertainment here.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think it hurts anyone, but I think everyone's got a breaking point. You can only take so much random glasses of milk being delivered.
All right, there's definitely a first, but I like that. That might be something that has to happen at some point.
You'll do this at one point.
I might do this at one point. Okay, so we've already heard that you sometimes like to get on the mic and do some vocals when you're out and about. But if you had to choose, would you rather be able to sing, rather be able to dance, or rather be able to play a musical instrument? And I'm talking like sick, like performance on TV style. Which person are you?
I'd probably go sing.
Singer.
Just, yeah. I like a good karaoke bar. You know, I've definitely been to, I think it's Sticky Rice in D.C. Is that what it's called? I forget.
Walk and Roll is the place right by the arena. That's the karaoke
Yes,
place.
I've been to that.
Yeah.
Definitely been to Walk and Roll. Remember that name. Yeah, I'd say sing probably.
Sing. Okay. Gotcha.
Well, yeah, I'm going to add a bonus question. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley.
Incredible.
It's a good song.
And you gotta try to make the voice go like his, which is almost impossible, but you have to try.
Respect the effort there. All right, now this is the hardest hitting question that we've asked yet, and there's been many a discussion that I've had with friends about it. Is a hot dog considered a burger, or is it considered a sandwich, or is it neither? Is it its own category?
I think it's its own category. I'd say if it was between burger and sandwich, I'd go sandwich. But I think if you can throw in a wild card, I think it's its own entity altogether.
Okay, so this is going to riff off of that, because this is where this conversation went one time with open face sandwich. Is an open face sandwich still considered a sandwich, or is it now toast?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a tough one. This discussion can go on forever. You keep going off it right here.
It could. I mean, I would have probably, if I was asked that question another day, I would have probably said sandwich. But now I'm starting to think like it might be toast.
Might be a toast,
especially with the world's obsession with like avocado toast now. I think maybe toast is the answer.
So an open face sandwich is now a toast, and a hot dog is in a category of its own.
Correct. Yes, that would be what I'd go with.
If you use a knife and a fork, it's not a sandwich. If you have to use a knife and a fork to eat it, it's not a sandwich.
So then what is it?
It's another dish. You can't call it a sandwich.
An entree.
It's an entree. Thank you.
Entree.
That's what it is.
All right, there you have it. That's another rendition of our stupid questions with Karl. I'm gonna add up your total here really quick. Okay, you get a Doug Gilmore, 93 points. I think that puts you in second overall. I don't have my
behind Steve Alexi.
Yeah, my stat sheet, but 93 is solid, almost 100. That's an A. So great job, Benny.
Wow, I'll take that. I haven't got A's in a long time, so I'll take that.
Where everything's made up and the points don't matter except for Karl's stupid questions.
Exactly. Points matter to me. I care.
Ben Guerrero, thank you for joining us. We will talk to you next time on All's Caps.